Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cerebral Conversations, Episode 2. This is Cerebral Conversations, conversations on disability liberation and integration. We are your hosts. I'm CJ Campbell.
And I'm Ron Jackson.
You're damn right you're Ron Jackson. Alright, so Episode 2, we haven't met in a week. Let's talk about how your week went, Ron.
My week went pretty well. I recently went to an Aviators baseball game, and as it turns out, it's their only win, so we're doing good.
You're the Aviators' good luck charm.
Yes, I am.
What kind of name for a baseball team is Aviators?
I don't know. And the funny part is, they still have the Riverhawk as the mascot. So.
Oh yeah, because they used to be known as the Rockford Riverhawks.
Yes, they did.
Now they're the Rockford Aviators.
Yes. It makes no sense.
Frontier League Baseball makes no sense.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else going on?
I recently watched a movie about Jack Kevorkian, which was good because it reminded me of the controversy of euthanasia and why it's such a polarizing issue.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty intense.
I know, right? It was like 2.5 hours long, and it was intense.
Okay.
What about you, sir? You look a little naked over there.
Just a little bit. So I've had a really interesting week, and probably for those of you that watched episode 1, you noticed about a good 7 inches of beard not on my face. For those of you that don't know, I was asked to be a part of a summit on social justice at UCLA this summer with the group Invisible Children. And I needed to raise funds to get there because I'm really good at making the SSI check stretch, but I'm not like $1,000 good.
That's a little difficult.
Yeah.
People that don't know, that's hard.
Yeah. So I created a campaign where I let people vote with dollars, whether to save the beard or to shave the beard, and my mom, single-handedly with a bake sale, beat out the pro-beard lobby.
This is a great endorsement for the power of desserts, people.
Yeah, freaking desserts killed my beard. And it's so weird because, like, my face was cold. Not only that, but I look like I'm 16 years old.
You should have seen him on Friday. It was like, I went in a time zone warp, and I went back to like 2003. It was very strange.
Well, not only that, but I mean, I haven't been clean shaven since 2008. So like the beard was so much a part of my persona.
Right. He's always talking about how he has a beard, and now he doesn't have one. So he feels a little lost.
Well, but also, you know, I legitimately thought I was handsome.
Yeah.
And so I don't like being clean shaven. And then, not to mention, like, I couldn't afford a haircut and a shave. So I like had to like look like Steve Buscemi for the first couple hours, and then like I had my friend Ben give me like a free haircut.
The power of SSI dollars at work.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm throwing your tax dollars on shaving awesome beards. Other than that, you know, I've had a really interesting and busy week, and I'm just really tired. But let's see. So after I got my beard shaved, the next morning I helped organize a protest here in Rockford against the Monsanto Corporation, which is an agrochemical corporation. Did you ever watch Captain Planet as a kid?
Yes, I did.
Well, like, basically the best way that I can describe Monsanto is that they were like, you remember the villains in Captain Planet would have like these evil corporations that would like pollute the earth?
Yes.
Yeah, well, basically that's Monsanto in real life.
Oh, okay, because when you were talking about it, I really didn't have time to research it or anything. So I was wondering how that all went for you.
Yeah, you were probably just like, well, CJ likes legit things. If he's against it, I'm against it. Crippled people unite.
Yes.
Yeah, so there was that, and I gotta tell you though, it was probably pretty weird. When we were going to the pre-protest organizing meeting, we went to a local coffee shop, and the organizers, this really awesome lady named Melissa Francis, and she, had some daughters, and I think like a couple of her nieces kind of helped too. And so one was wearing do you know what a furry is?
No, I'm not
Like
familiar.
I don't even really know what it is either. But it's basically like people that like to dress up in furry animal costumes and they'll wear ears and stuff, or
Okay.
they'll wear tails, and in the extreme versions it's overtly sexual. Um but so I had one of the nieces actually pushed me around it because Rockford is hard to get around in a wheelchair.
Yes, for people that don't know where Rockford is, it's extremely hard for people in a wheelchair or with any sort of walking impairment to get around because the streets are very old and they're not well maintained.
Yep, they're not well maintained.
But on to the second part of the story.
Yeah, so okay, so I have this 15-year-old emo girl wearing a furry hoodie, pushing me around, but then also her friend or something is wearing a full-on gorilla costume.
Oh my.
So this has to look incredibly weird.
Yes.
Okay, so you have a crippled guy being pushed by a furry next to a girl in a gorilla costume.
On the way to a protest.
Yeah. Well, which they didn't know. Literally, I saw this old man in a Ford pickup truck, just rubberneck, man. He literally slowed down to see what the hell was going on. Okay, so there was that, and the protest was really great. There was no incidents of violence. We didn't have any run-ins with the police. It was about 250 people. It was really great. So I'm excited about that. We probably have another protest coming up October 12th, and mainly it just focused around Monsanto, at least, in the very least, labeling genetically modified organisms that they use for food. Yeah, but also they're an evil corporation. They're a straight up evil corporation. They created Agent Orange.
Yes, this corporation, from the little bit of research I've done, this corporation is very evil and very deceitful because they like to hide their products and try to label them as good things when they're not.
Yeah. I think other than that, the only thing I really had going on was yesterday I spoke at Lydia Urban Academy here in Rockford, which is a charter school, and I got to speak to them about social justice and kind of share a bit about my story and stuff. And I talked a lot about disability issues, especially, and how kind of disability rights and equality of those with disabilities is kind of always the last group to get recognized.
Yeah.
If you go throughout American history, you really see is that first it's issues of race, then it's women, then it's gay rights, then disability, and that's the way that it's gone. And it's not to say that any of those movements aren't important or valid. It's just it's kind of frustrating that we're a part of that last group. And I don't know about you, but I really wish that the other groups would kind of partner alongside us.
I wish that too because we share a lot of the same common causes, and I don't feel like the other members of the other groups recognize that we also struggle with some of the same things that they're fighting for. And I believe it's easier for the majority to ignore us if we're all separated and fighting for one issue at a time.
Dang, preach it, Ron Jackson. Preach it. This episode, we wanted to talk about the stigmas in receiving help as a person with disability.
Yes.
I know that for me, it feels like receiving help is such a double-edged sword. Um, uh, I mentioned last week that it's hard for me to kind of ask for rides.
Yes. And I would like to tell you why it's so hard for me to ask for help, even though it's probably a little more obvious that I need more help than CJ does.
So, what are some of the things that you kind of struggle with?
I struggle with asking for help just because I feel like I'm a burden to people, and I feel like that if I ask for help repeatedly, I'm somehow hindering their lives. It's kind of like, okay, I just asked for something. I should probably wait to ask for something again. Even though people will ask me if I need help, I will often say no just because I feel like I'm a bother to people, even though they try to assure me that I'm not. And I guess part of it is a pride issue because I want to be able to do things for myself and I want to be independent even in areas where I physically can't.
So, where do you think kind of that mindset of being a burden came from? Like, what do you think the root of it is?
I think it just came from like how I was raised, honestly, because I grew up in a culture where you don't ask for help unless it's absolutely necessary. My mother raised me to be as independent as possible, and she often told me to try to do things for myself, which is a good thing. However, it caused me to be more stubborn than I need to be when it comes to asking for things I need done that I can't do for myself. Because I then feel like I should be able to do these things, and because I can't, there's a sense of shame in having to ask for help.
Yeah, it's a super hard thing because I know for me, I deal with a little bit of the burden thing, but a lot of it is that I feel like it's this double-edged sword whenever you ask for help.
Yes.
Because then some people feel like they have the right to kind of lecture you about how you should live your life.
Yes. Or I feel a sense of like people will help us out of some guilty obligation that we're disabled and they feel obligated to help us even when we don't ask.
Yeah, and I think also I don't think people realize that it kind of creates this weird power structure where if we become dependent upon an able-bodied person, that kind of puts them over us in such a way where, especially if in society, if our value to society isn't recognized, then it's more of like, well, we have to help you. Or anytime that I receive help from somebody, I know that that kind of opens up a door for me to be treated like a child.
Yes. I often experience being treated like a child in the way that people talk to me and the way that people interact with me because they have preconceived notions that because of the severity of my disability that I'm not um, cognitively cognitively aware of how they are speaking to me or how they should approach me. They don't understand that I'm normal in a cognitive sense. They think that my physical delays also extend to my understanding of the world around me.
Yeah, it's a really weird dichotomy that it brings out, and I feel like it's one of the biggest barriers to having a prominent role in society.
I definitely agree because until we can get rid of these stigmas, people will always assume that if you're in a wheelchair, you are mentally delayed or shouldn't really be a valuable part of society because you don't add quality to your community.
Yeah, and also it's just this thing of when when help comes with these ties, then it motivates us more to put ourselves in dangerous situations. It
Yes,
seems, and I'm not saying that's like the able-bodied man's fault per se, but it's just more of like we have to understand that the way that we treat people has a cause and effect. And also, as you pointed, that there is pride issues within the community and the culture of disability that kind of sometimes I don't ask for help with things just because it feels good to do it. Like I I have the privilege and the blessing to be able to fully dress myself every day, and I can't tell you how good it feels when I like put on my shoes and I know I'm ready to go.
it just boils down to independence really. We want as much independence as we can have without putting ourselves in danger. And if our independence is threatened, then sometimes we will put ourselves in danger just because we want that independence so badly and we want to prove not only to society but to ourselves that we are individuals, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think that one of the best ways to really break that stigma in an able-bodied person's head and kind of break down that dichotomy is realize that you need help too. So when you receive help, it's really no different. It's just we have different needs. Whereas like everybody needs help with something. Not everyone has intrinsic skill to do everything that they need to be done. And so part of community, part of living in a culture is receiving help. It just so happens that within the stigmas of disability, that it kind of costs a little more within the power structures of our culture.
Correct. And I specifically wanted to discuss how you should approach asking a disabled person for help. Now, these ideas and tips are not for every disabled person, but for the general disabled person, they will be more accepted than some of the common approaches that we see on a daily basis.
So what are the ways that you prefer?
The primary thing that I prefer is if someone just comes up and asks me for help, like a normal person. Like, you don't have to uh, talk slowly or try to get me to read your lips or talk to another person I'm around. I hear you very well. I understand what you said, and I will answer you if you pay attention to me. Because at the end of the day, you're asking if I want help. You're not asking someone else if they think I want help. So, the biggest thing for me is to have someone communicate with me directly.
Yeah, I think that's. I, I feel like really that's one that kind of goes across the board
Yeah.
no matter what. Um, a few things that I would like to really point out because um, Ron probably deals with a lot more stigma than I do because his palsy is a little bit more severe than mine,
Yes.
just a little bit.
I have the bad palsy.
But uh, just treat us like adults. Even if they clearly have cognitive issues, treat them like an adult. It will really help. Um, One of the big things that just really helps me is like look me in the eye.
Right.
It gives me humanity. It reminds me, oh yes, I'm a human being too. Um, Secondly, is be okay if you're watching us struggle with something because you know what? It feels really good when we open that door.
Yes.
Um, and also, I would really like to speak to this idea that it becomes a lot easier to accept help if that person is in your life. And I understand, like, I'm not saying, like, befriend every crippled person you see. Befriend every person with disability that you see. Um, they're all your friends.
That can be dangerous.
Yeah. But, just make sure you're communicating value to them. Like, that's why, like, the people I'm closest to, like, if they ask to help me, I don't take it badly because they're always communicating how important I am to them and how I give back to them. And I know that they love me. I know that they care about me. Now, so as a stranger, just be like, would you like me to help you with the door? If they say no, just back away.
If we say no, it's nothing against you. It's just the fact that we want to do these things by ourselves if at all possible. So if we say no, we're not being a jerk. You didn't offend us. We didn't mean to offend you. It is just simply about trying to gain some sense of autonomy in a society that sees us as being an attachment to the rest of the world.
Absolutely. And I think another thing that we would be really missing out on is if we also didn't speak to our crippled brothers and sisters. And just speak to this is be more open to let people help you. Uh, because it really breaks down doors and it gives opportunities to kind of people to kind of peek inside your world a little bit and also to connect with you.
Even if you feel like they are doing it out of pity, you might be able to interact with them as they help you and explain to them a better way to approach it the next time or with another disabled person that they might help. You might, like I suggested, you might suggest that they talk to you in a normal voice and keep eye contact as CJ suggested. Those little things really go a long way in the integration of the community, and we as disabled people cannot put the onus squarely on the able-bodied population, because if we do that, the same things that have occurred for hundreds of years will continue to occur because they see nothing wrong with it in general.
Absolutely. And really quickly, I just thought of like how much getting to know you and helping you with everyday tasks really has bonded our friendship.
Yes, it has.
And it really taught me a lot of humility. But also like uh, back in November, I went to a protest and a lobby Congress in Washington D.C. and we had to do like a road trip there, and it was with a bunch of strangers, um, and it was really funny. So there was this one guy that was a part of the trip, and every time he would help me with something, he would really cause attention to it, and it just made me feel really crappy.
Yeah.
Well, then there was this awesome friend of mine who's still a dear friend to this day, named Lauren, and she had such a great heart about it, which is like she would she would help me, but she would never draw attention to it. She would always do it very nonchalantly. Like I remember we were at this truck stop thing, and we were at this fast food restaurant, and I was carrying my bag of food, and I was kind of looking for a place to sit, and it was a bunch of strangers, and I just kind of felt awkward, and I was kind of trying to think in my head already as I was approaching the table of like, how do I keep the bag of food in my hand while holding the crutch, while holding the other crutch, while pulling up the chair and not dropping anything.
And trying to find a place to put the crutches once you sit down.
Yeah, and you know what Lauren did? Lauren just with her feet just kind of kicked out the chair nonchalantly, didn't make any like big cause about it, and just was like, hey, you're welcome here. And that was what like that is something to this day that has spoken to me deeply.
That is awesome. We need more Laurens, people.
We need more Lauren. So Lauren, if you watch this, we both love you.
Yes, we love you.
Well, I think that's about what we have. Why don't we plug our stuff on social media, but also give them a preview of the next episode. So, what is our next episode, Ryan?
Our next episode will actually be about disabled issues in the media. Specifically, why we see the portrayals of disability that we do in American media, and how it affects the general consensus regarding disability issues in our society.
I am really excited about that. That's going to be
Yes.
awesome. All right, so we're getting ready to sign off. So we want to plug our stuff on social media, and also we really would like some feedback and questions, comments, and share your stories. So you can email us at cerebralconversations@gmail.com. Also, you can check out our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/cerebralconversations. You can also follow us on Twitter at cerebralconvos. You can check out my personal blog, The Running Search, at cjcampbell.tumblr.com. Is there anything you want to push?
Check out my Cubs obsession at Rod Jackson at Facebook.com.
Oh man, he's pulling out his personal Facebook. Trust me, he's worth being a friend to.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so remember, keep it cerebral.